So everything that you have learnt as theory has to be developed in such a way which actually your exams help you, because they feel that they're so hogged down by these duties, and they, with the culture that we have, they don't want to say no also. But then it's up to us. We need to strike a balance. So the bottom line in all of this, which and the other things that I'm going to talk about, is your priority, because there have been so many inventions, including the light bulb, which have had so many failures, 99 failures, but still 100 could be a success. So don't allow these failures to stop you. I'm not saying this simply because I was invited by online accounting, but my personal experience is that these videos, the online option of accounting education in Sri Lanka has actually benefited so many females throughout our country, and some of them who have migrated but completed only part of the exams.
ACCA Legacy Series.
Hello all, welcome to onlineaccounting.lk. ACCA Legacy Series is a series of sessions that you meet phenomenal personnels who have already conquered the corporate world with this predominant qualification of ACCA. So we actually had the very first session of ACCA Legacy Series, giving you a lot of insights to mold yourself as a better and impactful ACCA affiliate. So the second session or the second episode of ACCA Legacy Series has been planned with you with another distinguished personality who has been in the corporate field for a longer period of time and who has won awards and who has been accomplished a lot of things with this particular qualification of ACCA. Margaret Thatcher once said, if you want something that was said, ask from a man. And if you want something has done, ask from a woman. So now let's go. We are going to ask from a woman about what she has already done. So this is the first episode that we are doing with a female personality who has won this corporate world. So I welcome you very warmly to this session, and can you please introduce yourself and your current position, the organization that you work for, and these things about you.
Right. Thank you, Supun, and thank you for this opportunity. And my name is Buddhi. I'm a director of BDO Consulting, where I've been working for more than 10 years. I'm also one of the members in the MNP, which is actually the ACCA Council in Sri Lanka. I would like to say that I was glad that I won the Vanithabhimana award last year for my contribution to the financial profession, and that marks one of the biggest milestones in my life. So ACCA has always been the reason what made me reach that pinnacle.
Yes, thank you so much. So I personally believe the major thing that is behind all of these success of yours is the qualification of ACCA that you grabbed, I think, a considerable period ago. So how did your ACCA journey began, and how motivated you were to this particular qualification, and how did you hear about the qualification, and can you please share us certain memories that you have during the days that you studied for ACCA?
Certainly. Yes, indeed, the time that I was doing the ACCA qualification, some of you might not have been born even. And we had the option of either studying at home, self-studying with the study packs, or we had to attend classes. I did all my ACCA exams with self-studying, and the reason, as Supun asked, why I was motivated to do these exams was because it was challenging. And the study packs were designed very well, and also the study packs had the revision kits. And if you were doing self-studying, this qualification provided you all the resource material. So way back during our time, we didn't have the facilities of online accounting. We didn't have videos. So self-studying meant really self-studying. And another reason why I wanted to do ACCA was definitely, even now, it's a qualification which very few have. I'm not going to start comparing names, but if you look at the statistics, definitely it stands out as very, very unique.
Yes, thank you so much. And with that qualification, now you are a director for an international brand name. So I'm also privileged to talk with you because we both are also working, I think, to two separate service line of the same umbrella term, which is an international brand name. So I think it's obvious that ACC has made you to come to this journey and come this far. But as per your perspective, what other qualification, what other skills that our students should possess to reach to a position like yours in one fine day?
Yes, so the qualification, the paper qualification definitely will be the first ticket that you have to go up the career. So once you've got that certificate, you also have to prove, once you go for an interview or once you start working, that what you have in black and white is actually here. So that the first point is technical skills. So everything that you have learned as theory has to be developed in such a way which actually your exams help you, because the final level, each exam, whatever the qualification is a very practical type. So by the time you start your career, you have to be able to use it. The practical use of your technical knowledge is the first requirement for you to be able to achieve greater heights. The second one would be how you present yourself, your communication skills, because sometimes it might not be necessarily English. So we always think that when people say soft skills communication, it English. No, sometimes in an office environment there are enough and more students, or rather employees, who have the technical skills but they don't speak up. They don't speak and tell their ideas to their managers, but they're very comfortable to tell to their subordinates or maybe their supervisors. So they do not come out and they do not shine. So the second point would be to communicate. And sometimes this communication actually, the lack of communication is a reason why people cannot move up even though they have a qualification. And the third fact is continuous development. So once you got a paper qualification, so obviously the day that I did my ACCA, what we did, what we learned, the theory, some of it definitely is still there. The debit and the credit is never going to change. Some of the management theories don't change, but some of the philosophies change, and some things like the AI comes in. So over the years, everything is changing. So the third point that I would like to say is, it's not just taking one qualification and sitting back and relaxing. You have to continuously develop your technical skills and your mindset so that you become valued in your organization.
Okay, thank you so much. I think this is one of the major and the most impactful things that you would be, hearing in your life, because listening to a personality who has already won the field is what you actually need, and that is the perception and that is the perspective of online accounting also in organizing this ACCA legacy series. So now I'm going to ask a very particular question, Buddhi. Now you are I would say a proud daughter, proud sister, a lovely wife, and a respectful mother. So, how do you see women in this particular financial management field? And as a women personality who has won certain awards, being an exemplary model to this particular field, how do you see? And especially, I think a lot of female students are also watching this session. So, what are the advices that you can give to them, and what challenges do they, face? And as a woman, how did you? Combat these challenges and came this far in your journey? How do you advise them?
I believe this is actually applicable to the entire audience, but so I think the gentleman also should listen, because at some point you'll be on the other receiving side. So, as a student, when you are a female, sometimes it's a little challenging because if you are going for physical classes, you have a lot of barriers. So, during my time, like I said, that was one reason why I did not attend classes and I had to do self studying. But now you have all the other facilities to study online, but during that time, we didn't. And also, females have certain constraints when you are working. If you're working late, you would have certain regulations from your home, and you obviously need to balance the requirement of your office. So the second step is when your employment also might be demanding, and as females, we have a little barrier. But girls, ladies, there are so many other opportunities which will help you. Like I said, if your employment requires that you on certain days work late, you need to balance, you need to be prepared for that situation. So that's what I used to do. So you have a backup plan. So maybe you told your father or your mother on certain days you might be late, and you are ready for them to accompany you if you use public transport. Of course, you have the pick me and the Uber and all whatnot, but your parents might not be willing to for you to take that challenge. So then, in that case, plan ahead. So if you feel you're going to work late, at least by 3 or 4, if you've told your parents, that's going to be sorted. So that's one of the biggest challenges that females have at the younger level. Second one is when you're a daughter and sometimes the only daughter in the family, you would be required to focus more on the domestic requirements like helping with the cooking and everything, and maybe looking after elder sister, the grandmothers, grandfathers, all that comes in. And also sometimes that becomes a stumbling block for some girls because they feel that they're so hogged down by these duties, and they, with the culture that we have, they don't want to say no also. But then it's up to us. We need to strike a balance. So the bottom line in all of this, which and the other things that I'm going to talk about, is your priorities and how you balance. So keeping that aside, later when you become a wife first or maybe a girlfriend, there would be a point where you need to focus on your studies, focus on your employment, as well as obviously give some attention to the boyfriend or the husband. So if that doesn't happen, you don't have a balanced life. And I'm not a doctor, but if you search a little, you'd realize that physical and mental relationship that you have with your other person is actually a basic requirement for all of us to develop at a certain age. So without that also, we don't have some satisfaction in life and we don't have a motivation. And then later you become a mother. So that's where you are a daughter, you're a mother, you are a wife. And you have to juggle your parents, your husband, your children, your friends, and most importantly, your career. And then education becomes the last thing in your mind. No, you have to prioritize at certain points. So let me tell you my personal experience. It might not be easy. So what I obviously used to do is, so during your work hours, you have to do your work, office hours. And then if sometimes the requirement comes, you might have to even work late hours on weekdays, and maybe there would be times you have to work during Saturdays and Sundays to cover up your work. Fine. But then if you explain this and you come up with a plan with your husbands and your husband, not husbands, husband, and your children, and maybe your parents and mother-in-laws, they would know, because their weekends, certain evenings, you have to, no matter what deadline you have in office sometimes, no matter how tired you are, no matter what you've planned to do, you have to give them priority. And then the nights are always ours. So maybe a few sleepless nights, study, do your studies, do the work. So then nobody is neglected. So it's always a priority. So during seasonal times, obviously, if you plan to study, it's definitely a no-no. During peak periods in your office time, if you want to fight with your boss and say, okay, my exam is next week, then these are the places where usually the females have the negative impact because they don't prioritize, right? So if you've planned it, so three things that you need to understand: prioritize, plan everything, and also make sure that you've balanced all the work. So then a woman, just like a man, will be able to keep everyone happy, and most importantly, achieve your goals and be happy yourself.
Thank you so much. Okay, I think it's very delightful to even hear such a story from you, Buddhi. And I don't know how these questions to be put forward, but it's a very macro level question for you. Now, you are a director for an international organization. I know that the organization you represent counts for the fifth largest accounting and financial service network in the world. So you are in that level being a woman. But do you think that in Sri Lankan context, especially, females who actually possess right qualification and experience are getting enough opportunities to come up in the ladder and shine as you? Do you think that is a common situation in the field right now? I know it's a very macro level question, but how do you see that?
There are opportunities, right? And I think with the uh, certain developments of inclusion and gender balance that has been taking like Sri Lanka by storm, there are opportunities. But sadly, there are a lot of talented ladies who have backed. They have moved back and taken a back seat, saying, okay, this is all that I'm going to grow up, simply because for them, their priority is either the family or when I say family, the children and everything, or maybe they just don't want to take that challenge through fear. So opportunities, yes, Supun, the opportunities are ample if you grab it. And unlike some people saying that we are marginalized when we start growing up, it's actually not the case. It's just that we don't grab it, or sadly, sometimes we've not set the benchmark properly. There have been instances in certain organizations where they've given the opportunity and the females have failed. So those particular small incidents then keep a black mark in those organizations where they'd be like, oh no, not a female. So I would say there are two ways. Opportunities are there. It's all on how you capture it and capitalize on it well.
Thank you so much. I think it's a very good message for all the female students who are watching right now to be motivated because opportunities are waiting for you. It's just a matter of getting the right qualification, getting the right experience, and making yourself more demanding and making yourself more attractive to that particular position. I think we spoke a lot about female students, but I really need one advice for male students also because they are also watching. I think Ms. Buddhi, even though we see that this is the situation, when it comes to statistics of students and students passing rates and everything, females are always ahead. Like I think the male students are having a lot of less count when it comes to right now. So if I ask a very little piece of advice to male students who are watching right now, what would that be? Because you are a mother, I think you are so much capable to advise them. What would be your advice for them actually?
Yes, statistics show that the pass rates, there are more females. And the main reason is that Sri Lanka is unfortunately moving towards an imbalance in gender. So there are more females. So then, because of that reason, you see more pass rates. But, boys, dear gentlemen, that is not going to stop you because the opportunities are growing, whatever field that you are in, because the same reasons that we just discussed, there are a lot of females, even though they pass out, they do not enter the employment market. So the opportunities are kept specially for you.
Thank you so much. I think that is really motivating them to pursue these qualifications and get into the right position one day. So I think now we are reaching towards the end of today's discussion, Ms. Buddhi. I think we discussed a lot of things, but in a one final word, if you see all the things we discussed in a holistic way, what would be your final advice or final insight for all these youngsters who are watching right now, who are willing to be ACCA members one day? What is your one final advice for them?
As advice, I think what I would like to say is just like any qualification, this qualification also would have certain stumbling blocks, because the first few levels exams are fairly easy. Then obviously it becomes a little bit more challenging. I'm not saying difficult, it becomes more challenging. So if you reach out to the correct tutors, they will be able to guide you, or else if you focus on the study packs yourself, doing studying at home, focus, right? So don't allow you failing or getting bad marks at a certain exam to stop you, right? Because there have been so many inventions, including the light bulb, which have had so many failures, 99 failures, but still 100 could be a success. So don't allow these failures to stop you, because in Sri Lanka, unfortunately, we are uh, facing huge increases in the exam fees, and including the membership, student renewals of the membership. Don't allow that to stop you. Plan ahead. So if you feel that the cost is too much, it's up to you to take the challenge and make sure that you study and don't allow even one single paper to go to waste. So for that, preparation is definitely important. And second point that you need to keep in mind is that this challenging world, there would be so many times you'd hear, oh, why are you doing this qualification, do this, do that. So don't start shifting. I have seen this a lot, not just in SSCA, even in other qualifications, because you do partly and then you shift, not just from ACCA to another accounting exam, but sometimes you shift completely to something else. And then after some time you think of coming back, you can come back, but then children, you've already lost so much of your good time. So my advice is sometimes slow and steady would be better if you feel you're not up to it, but even fast track is another option, but it all depends on you. Focus, work hard, and remember, there is always financial support for you once you come to different levels. You can, don't let that be a barrier. Definitely language or technical skills will not be a barrier in Sri Lanka now, because you have all those very freely available for a reasonable price.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Buddhi. So we are now going to conclude the session. So the core idea, the essence of what Buddhi told you was that never let the failure to fail you. You have to combat the failure, and you have to be more stronger when you find a failure and go and conquer the corporate world. So I am sincerely grateful to Ms. Buddhi Pathiraja, Director BDO Consulting, to attending this session today and motivating these youngsters to come out and possess the so much of ample opportunities that they are available. And I think it is one of the great sessions that I did in my life as well. Thank you so much.
Supun, there is
Yes.
one small, I would say, personal thought that I'd like to share with you. I'm not saying this simply because I was invited by online accounting, but my personal experience is that these videos, the online option of accounting education in Sri Lanka has actually benefited so many females throughout our country, and some of them who have migrated but completed only part of the exams, right? So I believe if we can make more students, especially the senior students in different educational backgrounds, aware about this option, because there are people who I speak to, my friends, unfortunately, who don't even know that they have this kind of option. They are aware that they can do subject-wise exams. They are aware that, okay, fees have changed, but they still say, okay, I don't have time to go to Colombo for classes, and sometimes they say, okay, I feel embarrassed to go for a class because my child will be asking Ammi or Tati, why are you going for tuition? So I would like to congratulate Hashan Waduge and the entire team for building this platform, which definitely is going to help so many, especially the older generation who have backed out of their education, because I feel it's like a second chance in life for so many of them. So that's a real heartfelt thank you to all of you.
Thank you, Buddhi. That is the very own objective of onlineaccounting.lk as well. So, with that concluding note, that we are going to wind up ACCA Legacy Series episode 2 with Buddhi Pathiraja, which gave you a lot of insights for your betterment in the field of accountancy and professional studies, because I think these insights, these ideologies are what actually making you more demanding in the professional journey. So the essence, as I was discussing with Ms. Buddhi, was that never let the failure to fail you, and if you can combat the failure, that is where you are coming as victorious. So let's meet again with another episode of ACCA Legacy Series. Until then, goodbye.
ACCA Legacy Series.